Very good morning to all participants. It's my pleasure to welcome my fellow panelists here on a subject which is greening smart grid. Now, yesterday in this very location, we had two sessions with a similar subject, and one was about mini grids, and the other speaker from the US, Ms. Dobryansky, she was on smart microgrids. So I think the subject that we're going to discuss today, the key word I think is smart. And it's considered smart if it adapts itself to its surroundings. It's a speaking grid, it's an interactive grid, and a self-healing grid. Now, when you have a green components coming into the grid, the first thing which comes to one mind is that it is a grid that could be having intermittent sources of input energy. Now, moment there are intermittent sources, you need to immediately have self-adjusting characteristics which will ensure that the grid carries on. It also has to interact with the main grid, which is the backbone grid of the country, state, or region. And it has to adjust itself to any changes. Like so many organisms, a small snail which moves, moment there's an external threat, it retracts itself into a shell. It's an interactive organism. So self-defense, self-correction, these are all characteristics, and analytics play an extremely important role in handling such grids. In fact, the handlers of this grid in the coming years are probably not going to be engineers in that sense. They're going to be data analysts. This is a challenge. In fact, a similar news item some of you may have read this morning. There is a recommendation about how should the Central Water Commission or the Central Groundwater Board in this country be reformed. One of the main recommendations is that the moment it is populated almost entirely by civil engineers, whose job was to construct dams, canals, or dig tube wells for groundwater. Water conservation, water management goes far beyond all this. This is just one of the components. I think you need water conservationists, you need ecology experts, etc., because water is the very essence of life. Similarly, a grid is the very essence of energy existence in any society. In the coming years, when we're expecting electric vehicles to substantially replace liquid fuel-driven vehicles, the grid will assume even more importance because it will not only affect what is happening in homes and offices and factories, it will also affect all kinds of communication, all kinds of banking transactions, traffic control, etc. All these would be controlled in smart cities through a grid. And the grid is going to be your central nervous system. And the central nervous system can never take leave of you. And with these words, I'll request my panelists, Ravinder, to kindly make his presentation.
Hi, thanks Mr. Anil, and good afternoon everybody. I come from a technology background, the IT part of it, and